And the Low Country. This is WJCL 22 Morning News. See us now.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
This morning on WJCL 22 News, the president pushing Georgia officials to find votes to sway the election. Plus, reactions from the president's call from candidates and others as they make last-minute campaign pushes across Georgia today. And after spending months learning from home, students in the Low Country are returning to in-person learning this morning. It is right now 5 o'clock on your Monday morning, and you are looking live from our Sky View 22 camera on top of the Homewood Suites on the river. Thanks so much for starting your day with us here on WJCL 22 Morning News. I'm Emma Hamilton. We're going to get started with your weather this morning with our meteorologist, Jonathan Myers. Jonathan, a little chilly out there, but it was kind of warm the past few days, so it kind of feels nice.
Yeah, you know, Emma, we have seen temperatures over this weekend. It was in the 70s on Saturday, 60s yesterday, but we will see cooler weather for today. Definitely a little on that cold side this morning. We're starting out upper 30s, low 40s. Could even have a little patchy frost for some of the inland areas as we start things off this morning. And just some high clouds kind of scooting through first thing this morning, but they'll quickly move off the coast before sunrise. Overall today, we'll just see bright sunshine. So you'll need those sunglasses all the way through the afternoon, starting out in the upper 30s this morning. By 9 o'clock, 44, 57 at lunchtime. Most of us today will be in the low 60s for highs. And you notice all that sunshine around all the way through the afternoon. Also, we'll see clear skies as we go into the evening. So the weather headlines will show sunshine today, cooler, but we will see temperatures the next couple of days a little above our seasonal average, and also dry weather through the middle of the work week. Not until probably Thursday before we see our next chance for some showers around. I'll detail that for you in Futurecast, showing those showers moving in. Also, we'll look ahead throughout the next 7 days in less than 10 minutes.
Jonathan, thank you so much. Well, just one day ahead of Georgia's Senate runoffs, a phone call between the president and Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger has been released, where the president can be heard pressuring Raffensperger to find more votes and overturn his election loss here in the state. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has more from Washington.
In an hour-long phone call, President Trump is heard urging election officials in Georgia to reverse his loss to Joe Biden.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
During the recording of the call Saturday, first obtained by the Washington Post and then by ABC News, President Trump pushed Georgia's Republican Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to recalculate the vote. Georgia's ballots have already been counted 3 times, confirming Biden's win.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that, that you've recalculated.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
The president repeated conspiracy theories about the election without providing any evidence. Trump and his allies have lost more than 50 legal cases nationwide trying to prove voter fraud.
We won the election, and it's not fair to take it away from us like this.
The call raises questions about whether the president violated election laws.
I don't think you're going to see any criminal charges here in connection with what has happened. But there is certainly an argument that the president has walked right up to the line.
Vice President-elect Kamala Harris claims the president abused his power.
And it was a bald-faced, bold abuse of power by the President of the United States.
The call comes as 140 House Republicans and at least a dozen senators plan to object to the Electoral College results in Congress Wednesday. And ahead of Georgia's crucial runoff elections tomorrow, both President Trump and President-elect Biden will be campaigning in the state today. The outcome of the 2 races will determine which party controls the U.S. Senate. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
You can see more on this developing story on Good Morning America. That's coming up right after our show at 7 o'clock. And now we're hearing reactions from some candidates after that phone call was released yesterday as they gear up to hold last-minute campaign events across Georgia today. WJCL's Daniel Robinson is live in Savannah this morning with more. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Emma, good morning to you as well. Candidates on both sides of the aisle are responding to that recently released phone call involving President Donald Trump, but they're also responding to their last-minute push with voters.
That That is a direct attack on our democracy. And if David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler had one piece of steel in their spines, one shred of integrity, they would be out here defending Georgia voters from that kind of assault.
My number one objective right now has to be winning on January 5th so that we can get to the bottom of what happened in these elections. We know that Democrats will never get to the bottom of it. That's what we're fighting here for. And I'm continuing to fight for this president. He's fought for us. And so we're going to stay on top of that.
Now, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris was also blasting President Donald Trump during her campaign stop here in Savannah, Georgia. You just heard her comments just moments ago. Now, her remarks just came hours after that phone call was released. Now, those were some of the first reactions on camera from that incoming administration. And today, President Donald Trump is also hitting the campaign trail in Georgia. He's expected to visit Dalton, where he will be campaigning for Republican Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. Vice President Mike Pence will be in Milner, Georgia today for the same reason. And on the heels of Vice President-elect Kamala Harris's visit to Savannah, President-elect Joe Biden will be campaigning in Atlanta for Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. Now, if Ossoff and Warnock both win, that would split that Senate down the middle, with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris being the deciding factor. Now, Georgia election officials say that so far, more than 3 million votes have been cast in this election. Live this morning from downtown Savannah, Daniel Robinson, WJCL 22 News.
Daniel, thank you so much. All 10 living U.S. Secretaries of Defense took the surprising step of co-signing a forceful letter saying the election is over. The letter published in the Washington Post yesterday is a message to Congress before it counts the Electoral College votes. They urge Congress to accept Joe Biden as the next president. The letter's publication follows President Trump's removal of Defense Secretary Mark Esper. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has told Congress that the military won't intervene in any election disputes. Still, the former defense secretaries from both parties expressed concern and want the DOD to refrain from any political actions. Well, with just hours until the polls open in what some are calling the most important election in the state's history, we have you covered. Join us tonight for our election special, Countdown to the Senate Runoffs. We'll have the latest from the campaigns and the big-time names in our state as the balance of power in Washington hangs in balance. That starts tonight at 7 o'clock right here on WJCL 22. Well, this morning, Beaufort County schools are returning to face-to-face learning 5 days a week. After reviewing the COVID-19 infection rate in South Carolina, the board says it believes it's safe to move back to traditional 5 days of in-person learning. Families who wish to change their students' preference from virtual to in-person learning will be able to do so starting in the second quarter on February 2nd. The Long County School District is delaying the reopening of its schools. This decision comes after the school officials say that they're concerned about the recent community spread of COVID-19 infections. All schools will reopen next Monday, January 11th, but there's no guarantee that it will be in person. The district says it'll make the decision for virtual or in-person classes by Thursday. Well, COVID vaccinations are expected to ramp up this week, but some doctors are calling for a new strategy, including possibly cutting doses in half. ABC's Alex Presha has the latest.
This morning, doctors are bracing for an onslaught of new COVID cases.
We're averaging 2,000 to 3,000 deaths per day. When an event occurs like the Christmas and New Year's holiday, you usually have a couple of week lag before you see an additional uptick of cases, which is always followed by hospitalizations and deaths.
Despite warnings to stay home, airlines have seen more than 14 million passengers in the past 2 weeks, even as the U.S. death toll surges higher.
It's like treading water from 100 feet below the surface. You're already drowning, but you just have to keep trying because that's what you can do.
COVID hospitalizations topping 100,000 for more than a month. California seeing the worst of it.
What's happening in Los Angeles can and will be coming to many communities across America.
In L.A., the Army Corps of Engineers now helping hospitals running low on oxygen. Overwhelmed funeral homes now turning away families. And in the Bay Area, at least 43 staffers at this San Jose hospital have tested positive. The outbreak being linked to a worker who wore an inflatable Christmas costume. The county is now banning employee break rooms for all businesses. And across the country, near Boston, a second emergency field hospital is opening today.
This is going to be an exclusively COVID-positive place.
Meanwhile, this morning, a new vaccine is bringing hope. The first doses of Oxford's vaccine, praised for being cheaper and easier to store, are now being distributed in the UK. Back here in the U.S., the rollout of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines remains on a slower than expected pace.
There have been a couple of glitches, that's understandable.
Some of the first public vaccine events were held this weekend in places like Houston, where 250,000 people called the health department for only 750 appointments.
No, I just want to get back to normal. I want to see my kids. I want to go back to work.
Operation Warp Speed officials are now considering drastic measures, possibly giving out half doses of the Moderna vaccine to, in effect, double their supply of shots.
We know it induces identical immune response.
But Dr. Anthony Fauci warned against stretching the doses.
We don't know whether or not that's going to be good enough.
Alex Presha, ABC News, New York.
Now, supply is not the only issue with the vaccine rollout. Shipping problems, funding issues at the state level, and even the weather is being blamed for delays. The time right now is 5:09, and coming up, we're going to take a look at what's happening in your community today. Plus, more than half a dozen states relaxed their drug laws at the end of 2020. We'll have the latest on how this could save both money and lives. Jonathan.
And the day is starting off with some high clouds scooting through. Overall, we'll see plenty of sunshine for today. It is chilly outside. Grab that jacket as you head out the door for work this morning. Most of us are starting out right at 40 degrees. Also, that little breeze making it feel like the upper 30s. And we're going to see some rain in the forecast later throughout the work week, and I'll detail that for you in the certified most accurate forecast next. Always remember, you can keep up with that forecast all through the day for free. Just download our WJCL 22 News app.